All right. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are in the world, from Polaron's office in Melbourne and Polaron's office in Łódź in Poland. Can I introduce to you a very special guest today? Her name is Dorota Makowska, and she works in the Citizenship Department in Łódź. May I just ask you, Dorota, to say hello to our audience?
Yes, hello. Thank you, Eva, for introducing me. And hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for having me here today.
We're very excited. We're very excited. So today we're going to be talking about something rather special as well, and that is about grant of citizenship. So the way that we're going to run this is that I'll ask you some questions because you're one of the highly recognized specialists in this field, and it is something relatively new. So could you tell us what is the grant all about? Firstly, who qualifies? What are basic eligibility criteria? Maybe in the context of Polish history, because before 1918, there was no Poland for 123 years, it was partitioned. So could you just tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, of course. For me, the simplest rule that we can follow when dividing who into what most is eligible is to when the ancestors leave Poland or from areas that after 1980 entered the territory of the Polish state. For example, if someone left before the uprising of Poland, it is unfortunately very difficult to show that the ancestors could have the right to the citizenship. And while if the ancestors left after the uprising of Poland, there were already Polish documents and Polish law and the concept of Polish citizenship. However, it should be remembered that those who left before the establishment of Poland may have had the so-called Polish origin or Polish nationality. These are completely different concepts than Polish citizenship. Eva, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Speaking now, so what I was going to say is that in summary, I guess, if anyone has got Polish heritage, but their families, their ancestors left before 1918, their cases are more difficult because there was no Polish citizenship, right?
Yes.
Right. There was Polish heritage, Polish origins, Polish nationality, but no citizenship.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, and could you tell us about the first law that Poland introduced to do with citizenship in 1920 and how that related to people that were already outside of Poland?
The first law was from 1920, and this is the Act of Polish Citizenship. And sorry.
No, that's okay. So what we are saying is that if you were, let's say my great-grandfather, maybe it's easier to relate to an example. If my great-grandfather's already immigrated to America, say in 1911, he wasn't covered by that law. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Right, because I was not in Poland anymore, but my great-grandfather, and I wasn't covered by that law. But I could, for example, or he could register with the Polish consulate in 1920, is that right?
Yes, of course, he could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are looking for even that some Polish documents after 1920, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if we can't find it, then we have to discuss with our client that maybe we should do the grant here.
Mm-hmm. But as a general rule, if my great-grandfather left before 1918, I probably do not qualify for citizenship through descent or through confirmation. Yes. Okay. So what sort of documents or what would I need to prove to qualify for grant of citizenship?
Okay, a very basic criterion is that you have to want it, because the application may be submitted by any person who does not have Polish citizenship. It should be remembered that the justification of the application must include motivation elements that can contribute to Polish culture, economy, science, or sport. This may include, for example, the desire to take a job or study in Poland, the desire to settle in Poland permanently, emotional ties with Poland, or just having ancestors from Poland.
Mhm. Okay, so you know, when you explain to people why they don't qualify, so the way that we work basically is when we talk to our clients, is we look at their history. So from the day they were born back to the ancestors. And if we tell them that they don't qualify through descent, they're often disappointed, right? They'll say, well, how come? And unfortunately, that happens because of different events that happen to their grandparents or great-grandparents. And we know for sure that they cannot pursue that route. Is that right, that avenue?
Yeah. This is the role, and I have to also say that the analysis that we perform is very difficult, and I know that sometimes people are disappointed that they can't. But actually, I think that we have to be happy that we have this another opportunity, like grant.
Yes. And that opportunity and grant is, you know, when I talk to clients or prospective clients, I tell them it's difficult, expensive, and it takes a very long time, and there's no guarantee of success, right?
Yes, and we have to be really familiar with the Polish law.
Right. And we tell people that so that they, as you said initially, that if they really want it, we will help them get it. But it is a discretionary process. In other words, they don't just look at your ancestry, they look at you, who you are as a person. They look at what links you've had with Poland, what links you have with the Polish diaspora, that sort of stuff, right? And as far as documentation, could you cover what sort of documents you'd have to submit as part of that?
Yes, of course. We need a copy of passport. We need original copies of birth certificates and marriage certificate issued by the Polish Registry Office. Then a copy of spouse's ID, if somebody is married, of course. Documents confirming information and on sources of income, professional achievements, political and social activities. Documents confirming information about parents and further ancestors if they were Polish citizenship. For example, civil status files, even school files, ID cards, passport, list of voters, current photography then of our client, and if somebody have, it can be a letter of recommendation or any actually family mementos. Actually, everything what you have and what can make your application stronger, more than better.
Right. So basically the process itself is divided into a couple of stages. The first one is that people that we take as clients work mostly with me at putting together what we call a dossier or a portfolio. It looks something like this. I don't know if people can see. There's a lot of, like, it's a massive file of all kinds of things in there. And they include letters of support, membership of organizations, family history. There's also what we call a motivational narrative. So the person itself, themselves, they write about why they want Polish citizenship. And we do that over a period of time. We help them collect it all and put it into a format that then is taken to the Polish consulate, because there's an interview, right?
Yes.
And that, can you tell us a bit more about the interview?
Yes, of course. A person who lives outside Poland must submit the application in person to the consulate competent for their place of residence. Very important here, there is information that the application should be submitted in Polish.
Right.
And I have to stop here for a few minutes because it's very important that the knowledge of the Polish language is appreciated very, because first of all, the application must be submitted in Polish, and in this way you can also prove your relationship with Poland. You can speak with a consul about Polish history, about Polish traditions. And while the application is being accepted by the consul make his own opinion and then forwards it to the ministry and then to the president. And it would be really good if such a conversation took place at least in a very basic level in Polish.
So can I add here or ask you, because there's no formal test, you don't have to sit to a Polish language test, but what you could, and let me tell you that this is what people are worried about the most, but out of everything, not how much work it takes, but a lot of English speakers struggle with Polish because it's a language that's so different. And I think it's also fair to say that when people left Poland, you know, ancestors, that is the first thing that goes, you know, so you might be able to speak Polish around your kitchen table, but anything more advanced, people really struggle with. And the first thing that people always ask me is, will I have to speak Polish? And what we are saying to people here is that yes, but there's no formal test. And I think what we're really looking for is a basic ability to communicate, to be able to pronounce Polish words, to be able to talk about history, perhaps Polish cuisine, traditions, but we're not looking for a level of Polish that requires writing of a thesis, right? It's just to be able to communicate. And I should also add very quickly here that any interviews that we have had for our clients and we usually attend have been held in English, but the consul will look for that rapport, for that basic conversation, at least to be able to be done in Polish.
Yes. It's good to prepare earlier, even if somebody knows no Polish at all. So I think it's good to teach at least a few sentences, really.
Right. And we do, as you know, have a platform online with teachers that, people that work with us, they get that opportunity to work with real teachers that know how to teach Polish. So, okay, so you did mention that you submit through the Polish consulate.
Yes.
Then the consul will write up minutes of the meeting and an opinion, and that's about probably 50% of the entire application.
Yes,
weight,
maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course it's not over. Then
Yes.
the consul submits the application along with the documents and his own opinion to the President of the Republic of Poland, but through the Minister of the Interior and Administration.
Okay.
There, the minister, before forwarding the application to the president, addresses to the chief police commander and the head of the internal security agency, and if it's necessary, to other officers, for example, voivoda, for providing more information. Then the application is forwarded to the Cancellery of the president, and it waits its resolutions.
Right. So that's why we said that it takes a long time, and also it's a bit unpredictable in that once the application is submitted, we don't really have much opportunity to ask questions, or there's no back and forth. So unlike confirmation of citizenship, which you also specialize in, with grant, once it's submitted, that's it. We can't say anymore about what went in.
Yes, that's because the president is not bound by it. Sorry. Yes, we can't do anything with that, but we can put application again if we have negative decision. We can do only this, but we are never knowing why somebody has positive decision and why somebody has negative. And what we have to say here also, I think it's the timelines, because as you said, Eva, it's not easy and unfortunately not short process. This all because the president is not bound by any dates in cases concerning granting Polish citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
In practice, the decision of the president is currently expected to over a year to 2 years. And I think for now it's really good, because earlier it was even 3 years or more.
Mhm. So I think they're trying to process those cases a bit faster because they know how important it is to people that submit those applications.
Yes, yes, of course, it's they know that, and I have to say that really many people put his application to president, and I think from over the world. So I think that's why it took very long time.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also fair to say that the legislation itself is quite flexible compared to some other countries. And when you submit your application, what also happened, which not everybody appreciates, I guess, is that you go on a journey of rediscovering your ancestry, rediscovering your roots. So when this big folder that I showed everybody just before, okay, is a journey that documents where your family's been, who they are. It documents your connection to Poland. Through the research that we also do for each client, so sometimes people come to us with amazing documents because something may have happened to affect their citizenship, but they've had really good Polish documents. Other times we have to look for them ourselves. But every little document we get for our client, they're so excited about because they're discovering information about, about their ancestors and about their heritage.
Yes, yes, it's always an amazing journey also for us. And when we discover something, I really, this part of my job is my favorite, actually.
Right.
And it's very interesting. I really like share with our clients with such as information.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
Speaking of that, Dorota, can I ask you, and without giving too much away, can you maybe, and I'm now putting you on the spot here, so I'm sorry, but can you maybe give us an example of the type of research you'll do, and like the strangest thing you've ever seen, or maybe a family history that's just like so strange, that's
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yes, there was so many. I discovered many. Family mystery, actually.
Oh, yes, tell us.
Yes. Our clients often doesn't know that, for example, their grandfathers or great grandfathers does have another family here in Poland.
Oh, wow.
And there was earlier first wife or earlier children, and or that first he was some man was married with one sister, then another sister, and really it's very sometimes we discovered that our client's ancestor was somebody's important in Poland, for example, a lawyer, and our clients doesn't know that. We showed them, even on the picture, we tried to find old church where their grandparents was Baptist, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And so really it's my favorite part of this job.
Yes, you haven't got that case yet because it's quite new, but we've got a grant client whose grandmother was in the Warsaw Uprising. And, when we were talking to him initially, and Maggie, who works in our Melbourne office, she, she was having a chat, she got together his family tree documents, and he was very matter of fact about it. He's like, oh, that's my grandma. And then she discovered that actually she studied about this woman in the history books because she was so well recognized as a war hero. And she was just breathless, and she felt so privileged about being able to talk to this guy. And, like he had no idea. It was just, just his grandmother. What's the big deal? But through going, through all the documentation, she actually learned that her entire master's thesis was written about this woman,
Wow.
who's somebody's grandma. Like he knew about his grandmother's wartime history, but not to the extent that she was, she was not just in the uprising, but she was, a highly acknowledged war hero. So every now and then, our clients, and we, as you said, discover information about our clients that we feel very privileged to be able to, to manage. Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember this other case, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, because we won't be giving any names out. But we once here in Australia received information about somebody's grandmother, and we knew that the grandmother arrived in Australia, she married here, and then she died here. But what we received from Poland was information, you remember that one, right?
Yes.
Including her death certificate. So we couldn't work out for quite some time whether there were sisters. You remember that case at all? Did you want to tell us more about that?
Yes, I remember the case, but the case was Marta's case. And
okay.
I just know that we had something like that, but
right.
Lately I had also a case that our client thought that he lives with his grandfather, and we discovered that this was not his grandfather.
Oh.
So yes.
And that's something that the family never knew.
Yes.
Right.
Only the grandmother knew.
Okay. Right. Okay. And sometimes you discover that after they've passed away, and sometimes you cannot discover this information either, because people die, documents are lost. Okay. Anyway, just going back to what we were talking about, what I was hoping to do, we've received quite a few questions, so I'll cover them shortly, but maybe just a quick summary, Dorota, if you don't mind, of what we talked about. So we talked about eligibility, documents, the procedure, and timelines. So maybe if you could just summarize it for us, that'd be great.
Yes, I just want to add that unfortunately nobody knows the recipe for the successful completion of such proceedings. In my opinion, the more relationships in Poland, then better. Both those contemporary, such as work, studies, or the desire to live here, as well as historical relationship and having sentiment for Poland.
Right. So in other words, because it is assessed on merits and it's a discretionary process, the more connected to Poland you are, and the more you can show it through the paperwork. Because what I was going to say is this, that when you go for your consular appointment, you meet with the consul face-to-face. But once your big file goes to Poland, you don't get that opportunity to speak to the person that's managing your case. So the file, the dossier that we help people put together has to speak on behalf of the client. So it has to be really well prepared. It has to be detailed and prepared in a way that, it showcases the history and all kinds of things for the client, yeah?
Yes, of course, yeah. It has to be prepared in detail.
Yes. Okay, so what we'll do now is we might ask our colleague Andrea to see if we've got any questions. And I've received a couple, so I'll tell you what they are. One is chance of success. And that's a difficult one to explain. But what I do tell people when I manage the initial conversation is, if you have any doubts about whether you're going to be successful, don't do it, because I don't want to waste people's time and money. There is a risk in that we cannot guarantee the outcome, but I think most people know whether they feel Polish or not, yeah? And it does need to be a genuine application, in that we're not going to be faking things for people. They have to work hard at putting everything together, but also feel Polish. I think that's a really difficult concept to explain. And the Polish government doesn't look at things like, for example, religion. So we get questions from Jewish people, for example. Should I proceed? It depends. If you feel that you have this Polish roots, this Polish connection, of course you should. But the decision rests with the client, and we try and explain to them that it is a discretionary process, right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the other question was from somebody: what was the worst case that I've ever seen that's got through, Grant? Look, I am so personally so invested and so connected. At the moment, I'm working with 23 different clients from all over the world. So Canada, America, Australia, And each of them is so very special, and they are so very keen and hardworking and very, very committed and engaged that I've not seen any cases that are worse, because if I feel that people aren't going to get through, I tell them not to do this, because I don't want them to waste time and money. Any other questions, Andrea, there?
Yeah, we just got a couple of questions. One is regarding to social and political activities. So being one of the most important things to show in your application. So the question will be, is it necessary to attend and participate in those activities? Some of them are very controversial in Poland. So can you talk about that?
I absolutely can. And before I do that, I'll say one thing, that Poland, which is where I was born and where I grew up, is a wonderful place. It's full of amazing people. It's a country that's rich in history, civic developments, especially in the last 15 to 20 years, it's progressed amazingly. So please, please, please do not believe everything you read, especially on social media. There is a lot of controversy. I don't follow Polish politics and I don't get involved, because it is something, it's a democracy and people can vote. And there are many other countries in the world that are super controversial, and I don't have an opinion about other countries because I don't vote there, okay? Politics anywhere in the world is a difficult topic, and we certainly don't encourage people to join political parties thinking that they're going to get a better outcome. Just remember that the president of Poland, it's a 5-year term, which can be extended for another 5 years and then really change, okay? So politics is something that we don't really get involved in. And when we put people together with networks where they can explore their Polish roots, we try and match them with things like that are of interest to them. So for some people that might be arts, for other people that might be universities, for other people that could be cooking, I don't know, hunting, whatever it is. We tend to stay clear of politics and things that are controversial. But when people ask me about it, I say, now is the time for you to get your Polish citizenship, because if you don't like what's happening in Poland, the only way you're going to change is if you vote. Okay, so there's that two-street responsibility that people have, and it's not good expressing those opinions on social media where it's pretty pointless. That's my personal opinion, and I hope that's not too controversial, but I really do believe that Poland's an amazing place, and there's so many things that you can focus on rather than that. And do not believe everything you read. Is that another thing that I'll say?
There's another question, which is kind of a general one, but maybe you can answer to this. So Amy is asking that her father was born in Germany, but his father born in Poland and mother in the Ukraine. Can I get Polish citizenship?
Dorota, would you like to answer that, or would you like me to?
Yes, I can answer this. Everything depends. Everything depends when your parents, Amy, was born, because there actually I can tell you which kind of mode you can try to application put. So if you can write an email to me. Maybe Andrea will put you to my email, and I will answer this question. But I need more details. But of course, I think maybe it could be application after the stand. I think.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
To the grant, yes.
Yeah. So you probably, Amy, qualified through descent. And the reason Dorota and I are saying that is that it doesn't matter where you're born. What matters that at least one of your ancestors is Polish. And the law is simple but complicated at the same time. But in your situation, if your father, I think, was Polish, as long as your parents or grandparents or your grandfather were married, and you can prove that through documents, you can pursue it under your paternal or your grandfather's side, or father's, sorry. Ukraine is a bit of a complication because of treaties that Poland and other former Eastern Bloc countries have signed. So that's why what Dorota is saying, and people often are surprised about that. I can't tell you without seeing documents and really understanding your family history. But in principle, Amy, we both think that you probably qualify, but we would have to look into your family history a bit in a bit more detail.
Yes, but maybe it about today's Ukraine and used to come from.
That was Poland, yeah.
Yeah, that was Poland.
That's the other thing. So large portions of Poland were given to Ukraine or USSR. So the borders shifted after World War II. So people that were born in today's Ukraine may well be Polish. So we just need a bit more information.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys, for the information you've provided today. We want to encourage everyone, because we run out of time, but we want to encourage you to send us your questions through the chat and also send us a direct message through Facebook. We're going to put the contact details on the chat if you want to reach out.
Yes, and can I just, from me, say thank you very much, Dorota, for being part of this. I really, really appreciated your input and the information that you're able to share, not just with me, but people that might be potentially pursuing, wanting to pursue this. I think you have a wealth of knowledge, so I'm really grateful that you were able to spend this half an hour with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and this is new experience for me.
Yes,
and, I really enjoy it. So.
Wonderful. You were great. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you everyone. Bye.
Bye.